This is WBZ-TV Channel 4 Boston, and it's time now for the News at Noon with Jack Chase. Friday, November 18th, 1955. And Don Ken and Weber, here now, Jack Chase. So everybody, I'm Jack Chase, the news, what's happening in the world of news. An income tax war of mild proportion has broken out between Vermont and Massachusetts as a result of the Bay State's new non-resident income tax. Vermont Tax Department, which earlier sent tax refund checks to Massachusetts residents who work in Vermont, but now informed that the refund claims on 1954 earnings has been disallowed and has billed them for the amount of the checks. The refunds have been made to compensate the workers because they were also taxed in Massachusetts at the time. All was peace and harmony. Now hundreds of indigent taxpayers in western Massachusetts are vigorously protesting the Vermont section, which they contend subjects them to double taxation. Some sort of ruling on the matter is expected soon from the Bay State tax moguls. Mrs. Whiff Van Norden, 57, was arrested at her bed in an Upton hospital at 10 last night for the murder of her brother, Frederick W. Britton, 58, in her Lexington home on Wednesday. Britton was shot twice in the head. His sister, her wrist slashed, was found near the body. She is still in critical condition at Sam's Arlington Hospital, but is recovering. Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy, 25. Wife of the Massachusetts senator is not quite the halfback she thought she was, as she broke her right ankle Sunday in a game of touch football in the Kennedy home in Hyannis. Senator John F. Kennedy disclosed yesterday. Mrs. Kennedy, her ankle in a cast, will leave the New England Baptist Hospital this morning. Went through its first preseason punch at Boston last night, and it was anything but warmly received. A 40-mile-an-hour wind whipped through the streets, door and window chinks, making the populace rush for overcoats and thermostats. Don Ken and Weber in about a couple of minutes here on BZ. Resolutions calling for a national disaster insurance program and immediate presidential authorization of 2 flood control projects were approved yesterday at the 31st annual conference of the New England Council. The resolution was endorsed by the 6 New England governors and a majority of the region's congressional delegation. The council especially asked that President Eisenhower immediately transfer $350,000 from his emergency fund for flood control projects at East Springfield, Massachusetts, and Thomaston, Connecticut. Carl Pullen Dennett, 81, well-known financier and industrialist who was active in Boston civic affairs in the early 1900s, died yesterday at his home at 88 Clyde Street in Chestnut Hill. He was a vice president of the Boston Chamber of Commerce for several years, as chairman of the Massachusetts Pension and National Economy League, and has been outspoken for the increase in taxes and government spending. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, President Eisenhower and the Secretary of State spoke for 85 minutes yesterday in the failure of the East and West to solve vital differences at the Geneva conferences. What conclusions they may have reached on where America and the Western Allies go from here in the quest for world peace was a secret that they shared only with Undersecretary of State Herbert Hoover Jr. But there were grounds for believing that Sells was not entirely pessimistic, that he informed that the president thinks that Russia may consent to unifying Germany on terms agreeable to the West. Possibly he may say as much publicly tomorrow night in a report to the American people on the Big Four Ministers Conference in Geneva. But he also is likely to hang squarely on the Russians that the failure of Geneva to agree on conditions for a unified Germany, for achieving European security, for disarmament, and increasing East-West contracts.
Take a look at this devastation right here. At least one of the
philanthropist ruminate the Christmas was unable to attend the testimonial in his honor last night as doctors ordered him to bed, but the banquet went on as scheduled. He delivered his speech, albeit a bit differently than his plan. A hurriedly set up two-way telephone arrangement permitted Grims to relax in his bed at his home at 1258 Beacon Street in Brookline and Buffier. The speakers then addressed the gathering.
Daniel Walmart has that.
Christmas injected a note of humor about the unusual setup when he told the audience of the 400 in the
in one day we surpassed that number.
15th room at the Hotel Somerset. So on conversation, you have, not being president, you can hear me, but you don't have to look at me. The prominent business and civic leaders have permitted that the testimonial only on the condition it would be a good cause. Proceeds to the banquet were given a kickoff contribution to the Thanksgiving Crusade for Retarded Children. The campaign is being conducted from November 23rd to December 13th by the Boston Association for Retarded Children Incorporated campaign manager Murray Garfinkel, Chelsea auto dealer. A 50-mile-an-hour per hour northwest gale lash and 20-foot seas maroon at parody of an Air Force brass aboard the nation's first man-made radar island about 110 miles off Cape Cod yesterday. The Air Force is making a final inspection before accepting an 8,000-ton triangle steel platform from the contractor Raymond DeLong. Nearly 30 Air Force officers, civilians, and technicians were isolated atop the 100-foot tower for at the time
Who have lost everything.
in the basket attached to a 50-ton crane. New York, a 35-year-old Irish-born bartender formerly of the city and now living in San Francisco, a clean find. Elmer Trigger Burke in court here yesterday as the man he saw in a barroom brawl minutes before Burke alleged murdered a peacemaker in the fight. The witness, Edward Corrigan, father of a little girl, stepped down from the witness stand at the district attorney's request and walked over to the defense table and stood a couple of feet in front of Burke and pointed to him. "That's the gentleman I saw," he declared. Burke displayed no emotion as the identification was made.
WCVB News Center 5.
The Red Feather campaign got a boost yesterday when Chelsea reached
Community that's reeling from a
its quarter for the first time in its history, as community chairman and his attorney Leo Stramsky reported. As with the campaign in its final week, Chairman Francis W. Hatch reported steadily flooded contributions to Red Feather headquarters, 14 Somerset Street.
That meeting lasted about half an hour this morning.
A Russian slave labor who was desperate to appeal to the free world was smuggled from a notorious Siberian death camp was defined by the Globe last night as the brother of former Afghan woman. The State Department of Washington at a late hour was still checking in the possibility that Henry Malinowskis is an American citizen. The Globe working on slim details contained in a scripted message traced the prisoner's sister, Mrs. Alexander Zelbus, to her personal home in Washington, D.C. Miss Zelbus, whose husband is a Georgetown University professor, was reluctant to discuss her brother's plight, except to say that he is a Soviet prisoner. She told Harvard disclosed she will seek State Department aid for her brother. Equally fearful to talk because of the threat of reprisals to relieve still behind the Iron Curtain were friends and acquaintances of the imprisoned Milankas and his family, all natives of Lithuania. But as the Milankas mystery was uncovered, as was a grim picture of slavery, death, and retribution, the power of which to seal the lips of Iron Curtain fugitives extends to Apple, Stoughton, South Boston, and Dorchester, as well as the corners of the Western world. This is how the Milankas story began. An Austrian prisoner released by the Reds produced a photograph of Milankas on the back of which a message purposely addressed to the Austrian. Actually was a pathetic plea for help intended but for Milankas' family and a Jesuit priest in Athol, Massachusetts, with a world reputation for his work in aiding fugitives from beyond the Iron Curtain.
So their son once again feels
The new state prison at Walpole will be open on November 28th when the transfer of convicts from an ancient Bastille at Charlestown is got underway. Commissioner of Correction Russell G. Oswald said last night, President plans call for the transfer of 10 prisoners a day until the entire inmate population is moved to the new institution. Then the 150-year-old penitentiary will be raised. Heavily armed escorts of correction officers supplemented by squads of state troopers will carry out the transfers. The first detachment at Charlestown inmates to be moved, said Oswald, will be those men best equipped to assist in the settling of the new machinery into the Walpole institution. The prison foundry and
GPS tracking devices in their cruiser.
her place must get underway.
Argues the change will improve response time.
Time the commissioner said, and I'm anxious to get them running.
But some officers say it will hurt their ability to.
A calm, polite gunman held up 4 men and a woman and got away with nearly $3,000 from the EMF company wholesale electric appliance firm at 110-120 Brookline Street at Cambridge at 9 last night. Among the victims was the firm's owner, Abraham Katz, 50, of 5 Oliver Road in Bedmont.
Ratings data.
Brother Mrs. Pearl K. was recently elected as the first woman member of the Cambridge City Council. The others were David Schuck, 52, of Milton, manager's son, Robert, 26, of the same address, 14 West Street of Milton, and the lad's wife, Rhoda, 25, expectant mother, and a friend of the Schuck family, Harold Starr, 20, of Laurel Street in Milton. Robert Schuck and his wife were sitting outside waiting for his father to come out so they could drive him home when the gunman slipped to the front seat with him. He questioned about who was inside the building. They told him.
Tom Menino in January.
Chicago, the
Are you ready for some
Democrats bypassed the potential north-south split vote here
here on Channel 5?
yesterday when the National Committee voted to increase the number of delegates in the 1956 National Convention, as National Chairman Paul Butler established between 800 and 1,000 delegates would be added. This means the biggest convention delegate-wise ever held in the United States will assemble there next August 13 when the Democrats picked their 1956 ticket. Butler speaking at the Conrad Hilton Hotel here after the National Committee completed its plans for the 1956 convention explained.
Well, still ahead of Pastor is
A friend is track on the Boston Consolidated Gas Company that would have affected its more than 1 million consumers were averted last night when workers voted overwhelmingly in favor of accepting the company's contracts. Francis J. Tobin, a Cambridge field resident of District 50 United Mine Workers of America, bargaining agent for some 1,350 employees, announced that vote to accept the company's offer had carried to 818,303. Don't get what I do after this commercial break. Alliances of hire at Hoover on a 56 Ford last week. 53 Packard. We saved $89.5 and 1954 Ford saved $1955. Bring this ad with you and shout about a free offer at Hoover Motor Sales. Only 31 more shopping days until Christmas. If you're going to go shop in Festive Boston, use the MTA, the buses, the railroads. Come shop in Festive Boston today. That's 3 days at the Hannah Morton Circus at the Auspices Alapa Temple. Today at 8:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. And tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. and Sunday at 1:30 p.m. 1,000 good seats at all plus tax. Reserve seats extra. Children under 12, 1/3 price general admission. And now it's time to have the weather with Don Kemp. Take away, Don. Good evening, everybody. And right now, current conditions at Logan Airport, Boston, Massachusetts at noontime. Temperature 43 degrees with a wind chill about 33 degrees at a dew point about 17. The humidity 35%. Around 93 inches, visibly 50 miles per hour. Winds west-northwest, whipping about 29 miles per hour in the condition clear skies. Let's take a look at our regional forecast. It's 44 out in Bedford and Lawrence, 43 in Beverly and Norwood, 43 in Pittsburgh, 39 in Worcester, 40 out in Springfield, 37 in Albany, 46 in New York, 46 in New Haven, 42 out in Hartford, 44 out in Providence, 46 in Taunton and Plymouth, Bedford and Martha's Vineyard and Hyannis, 44 in Nantucket, 44 in Nashua, New Hampshire, 39 out in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and Portland, Maine, and Augusta, Maine, 33 out in Bangor, Maine, with a few light snow flakes in Bangor, Maine, 38 in Manchester and Concord, New Hampshire, and at Mount Washington, New Hampshire, and a pair of 33s in Burlington and Montpelier, Vermont. Okay, let's take a look at what is going on in where we're around the nation. High pressure region from high pressure center in eastern Saskatchewan to a high pressure center in western North Carolina will dominate the weather today in the nation, 2/3 of the nation. Relatively low pressure will influence the rest of the nation. A low pressure center in southeastern New Mexico will have a through extended in the Pacific and then north to a low pressure center off the northwest Pacific coast. 9 here. Scattered snow showers are forecast this afternoon for the Lake region, the northeastern Ohio Valley, and for the northern New England, the lower Mississippi Valley, and parts of the Texas Gulf Coast will have scattered showers and occasional thunder showers. Snow showers are predicted by the area between the Seven Plains states and the northern and central Cascades. And showers are found in the Seven Plains region and steady rain along the northern half of the Pacific coastline. Here, continuing cold is forecast in the eastern third of the nation will be turned slightly warmer elsewhere. So, forecast for Boston City will go like this. Fair, windy and cold. Friday highs in the upper 30s. Fair and cold at night. Lows in the upper 20s. And Saturday increase in cloudiness and continuing cold. Northwest winds about 25 to 35 miles per hour for today. For Massachusetts and Connecticut, fair and windy but with some cloudiness and snow flurries in the Berkshires. Fair except for snow flurries in the Berkshires at night. Saturday increase in cloudiness and continuing cold. Rhode Island, fair and windy on Friday and Saturday increase in cloudiness and continuing cold. Vermont, cloudy and windy with snow flurries on Friday and mostly cloudy Saturday and continuing cold. New Hampshire, cloudy with snow flurries over the north portion, partly cloudy over the south portion and windy Friday, Saturday and continuing cold. In Maine, cloudy with snow flurries over north and central portion, partly cloudy over extreme south portion and windy on Friday and Saturday. Continuing cold in east part of Block Island, northwest storm warnings are displayed for the west of northwest winds about 30 to 40 miles per hour. Friday diminishes slowly at night. Part with scattered snow squalls and good visibility. Sunset 4:20 p.m. Length of day 9 hours and 43 minutes. High tide 1:33 p.m. Sunset 7:41 p.m. Turn on headlines about 4:50 p.m. First quarter November 22nd at 12:29 p.m. Full moon November 29th at 11:50 a.m. Last quarter December 6th at 3:35 in the morning time and no moon. December 14th at 2:07 in the morning time, and that's my forecast for now. And that's going to be it for the WBZ-TV News at Noon on this Friday, November 18th, 1955. I'm Jack Chase alongside Duncan. I say so long and make it a good day. And Arch McDonald will be back at 6:30 with more news. Have a good day. Bye-bye for now. Here.